Hey, this is Matt from Alpha Analyst, and in this video, we're going to go over how to freeze panes in Microsoft Excel. So why would we want to do this? Why would we want to freeze the panes in Microsoft Excel? Let's look at this data set right here. So as we scroll down, you'll notice that we're not able to see the column headings anymore. So once we get down to Kate, Bill, Kyle, Greg, you can see some numbers here, 7, 22, 26, but you're not quite sure what that corresponds to. If you come up here, you can see that it corresponds to years of experience, but that's not very convenient for us. We would like to be able to still see what the column headings are as we scroll down. It's the same thing for the rows. So this right here, for example, row 9 contains Allison, but as you go to the right, you'll see that you can't see who corresponds to this row. So as far as who makes $110,000, you don't really know based on the way that the spreadsheet is laid out. You have to come all the way over here to the left to see how much money Allison makes. So how can we set this up so it's much easier for us to use? Okay, for this situation, it's very easy to fix. What we're going to identify is which of these data fields do we want to see as we're scrolling through the document. So I'm going to highlight them in a special color just so that we can make this easier to understand. So I'm going to highlight this in yellow. So we want to see the names of the people as we go through. The second thing is we want to be able to see these column headings. So I'm going to highlight that in, let's do this shade of blue. Okay, so we want that to show up. The yellow here and the blue here, we want those to show up as we scroll around the document. So how can we make that happen? So I'm going to click on this cell right here, cell C8. So cell C8, this is the cell that basically is next to these two sets of data. And when you come up here to the View menu, we're going to click on Freeze Panes. So once again, we clicked on cell C8 and we went to View Freeze Panes and we clicked on Freeze Panes. After we did that, let's see what happens. As we scroll down, the column headings stay exactly where they were before. As we go towards the right, you can see that the names of the people, they stay in sight. So we can see, okay, the person who makes $110,000, it's Allison. And we can see, okay, the 6 number right here, that corresponds to the years of experience for Kyle. So it makes it much easier for us to see the data as we're going through it. Freezing panes can help you still see the column headings and row headings as you go through your data. But sometimes you don't want to freeze both of them. Let's take off that freeze panes that we had. So to take it off, we're going to go back up to the View menu, and where it says Freeze Panes, we're going to click on Unfreeze Panes. So now it's back to where it was before. Okay, let's say that we only wanted to freeze the column headings. Here's what we can do. We can click on row number 8, and the reason why is everything above this would be frozen. So we're going to click on row 8, and then we'll come up to the View tab again, and we'll go to Freeze Panes and then Freeze Panes. Okay, and because we were clicking on a row as compared to a specific cell, what's going to happen is the column headings are going to stay there, but the rows are not going to be frozen. So as we scroll down, you'll see that the column headings are frozen just like they were before, but as we go to the right, you'll see that this set of names is not frozen. So as we go to the right, you'll see that the names are not frozen. To take it off, we'll go to the View menu again, and then click on Freeze Panes, Unfreeze Panes. If we want to do the opposite, let's say that we want to have the names be frozen, but not the column headings, we can simply click on column C, and then on the View tab, click on Freeze Panes, and then Freeze Panes. And now, as we scroll down, you'll see that the column headings here are not frozen. However, as we go to the right, you'll see that the names still show up as we go to the right. Now that we've covered how freeze panes can help us, let's talk about some pitfalls to watch out for. Let's talk about what to avoid. So let's say that you come over here to the right and you click on this column here, column E, and then you click on Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. Let's see what happens. As you scroll to the right, the number of years of experience stays there. However, if you go to the far left, you can't see the data. So if you do this, you might be able to quickly realize, okay, column D is the furthest left column that you can see, so there's probably something hidden over there. And if you try to unhide it, if you right click and choose unhide, it doesn't really change anything. You still can't see the data. And that's because the freeze panes is on there and it's basically freezing that pane. So to get rid of that, you go to the View menu and choose Freeze Panes, Unfreeze Panes. And the same thing can happen the other direction. If you click on one of these rows here and choose freeze panes, as you scroll up and down, you'll notice that no matter how much you try to scroll up, you can't see the data at the top. So if that's the case, just simply come up to the View tab, go to Freeze Panes, and choose Unfreeze Panes, and then you'll be back to where you started. After watching this video, I hope you have a much better understanding of how to use freeze panes to make it much easier as you start going through your data. Thanks for watching.